Hello viewer, you're watching Elimu TV, the only TV station that will bring education to you to where you are. I want to welcome you to Christian Religious Education Form 1, Lesson 12, and I will be your teacher, Mr. John Gatuma. We have been discussing at the creation the fall of man, and we want to culminate the topic by looking at the traditional African concept of evil. And thereafter we are going to compare the traditional African concept of evil and that one of biblical teachings of sin. In our previous lesson, we were looking at the origin of sin and its consequences, and I gave you some assignment that you are to do it so that we begin from here as we progress. So allow me to take you through some of the expected answers for the same. The question was, outline 5 consequences of sin according to the Bible teaching. 1, man was alienated from God, and this is because of the ruined relationship. The relationship that was there was ruined because man sinned against God, and therefore as the cordial and mutual relationship that was there, it was actually damaged, and it turned into fear because man was alienated from God. 2, death appeared in human race, and this is whereby it reduced the human lifespan. The human lifespan was reduced because of sin. It was told that they will be dying, and therefore the death was the penalty because of the sinning. So they were told, according to Genesis 3 verse 19, they were told that you will return to the ground, you are dust, and human beings were no longer immortal, and they will be dying. 3, pain during delivery. The woman will be experiencing pain during a childbearing. They will be having pain. And next we have the ground was cast as human beings had to sweat or toil for the daily needs. The ground was cast because human beings had to sweat or toil for the daily needs. So this was the consequences of sin. In today's lesson, we shall look at the traditional African concept of evil. And in traditional African society, abbreviated as TAC, sin is an offense against God, spirit, or ancestors. You offend God, spirit, or ancestor. That one you sin, or it is an evil. It is an evil because God is a supreme creature, as it is believed by all African communities, and there are the ancestors and the spirits in that hierarchy. So therefore, any offense or doing against the will of this is an offense, and therefore it is an evil according to Africans. Many communities in Africa, they believe that God is good and he did not create evil. They all believe that God is good. They concur in the fact that God is good and did not create evil. And therefore, most of them, they agree with the biblical view that God did not create evil. Remember, in the Bible, they all believe that God did not create evil, and therefore they believe that evil might have originated from the spiritual being other than God, and that is the devil. Others, they believe that evil originates from a source outside God, and we have said these are maybe in spiritual beings. And for example, we have most of the communities, such as the Bukusu, they believe that there is an evil divinity which was created good, but later on rebelled against their creator by doing evil. So this divinity has a following of evils which were responsible for death, the plagues that they may encounter, or other misfortunes that they encounter, such as the calamities. In a nutshell, you can say that in most African communities, it is believed that the bad spirits are either the origin of evil or the agents of evil. So therefore, when the dead become detached from human contact, people fear them because of evil or being harmful. We have communities, they have various explanations of evil. They have most African community, they believe that Bad spirits are either the origin of evil or the agent of evil. You can see the explanation of this. This is a sorcerer, for example, in that picture. And the dead or these sorcerers, the evil spirit, they are able to manipulate the evil spirit to cause death, epidemics, plagues, or other calamities such as the Agikuyu communities. Agikuyu community also explain the causes of evil. They believe that it comes from outside sources other than God, because they all believe that this one comes from the evil. It comes from the Satan himself. Kuyu elders, for example, in Mukuru Gathanga, this one can be seen in this particular diagram, and Kikuyu elders at the meeting at the Mukuru Wagadaga in Muranga, a holy site among the Kikuyu. Being a holy site among the Kikuyu, it is believed that no one is supposed to come near Mukuru Wagadaga in Muranga, and this one shows that the evil happen when you offense the ancestors, when you are evil in the society. For example, this is Mukuru wa Nyagadaga in Muranga, and it shows some demarcations whereby no one is supposed to come near and do anything. There are some trees which are very, very sacred. For example, the Mogumo tree. The Mogumo tree is very, very important in this community. And this one is just an explanation of some of the community, but a few. There are many of them. We now look at the causes of evil in traditional African society. What are the causes of evil in traditional African society? This, in other words, you are trying to mean that there are various sources, because we have said that God did not create, God is good and did not create any evil. What are some of the sources or causes of evil in traditional African society? According to their belief, they believe that sin may originate from one ancestral spirit. And ancestral spirit, remember, ancestor is anybody who died long time ago. More than 5 years becomes an ancestor. So the ancestral spirit, when you disobey the ancestral spirit, it may cause harm or misfortunes. For example, those who are dead, they are supposed to pour the libation, and by pouring libation, it means you are appeasing the ancestors not to cause harm on them. 2, the sin may also be caused with people with mystical powers, and these people with mystical powers, they are those people such as the magicians who carry out magic, the sorcerers who carry out the sorcery, and witch doctors who carries the witchcraft. They all manipulate the evil, and therefore, according to some of the African community, and their malice against other and evil. And in regard to this, so evil is an independent and eternal object which can be manipulated by human beings or spirit. 3, the evil may be caused by bad omen. And when you talk of the bad omen, this is anything that the African society, they regard it to be so sacred, and therefore they are not supposed to touch them, or they're supposed to take care. For example, animals, there may be bad omen, or even some places. For example, animal like chameleon, they are the source of evil. They believe that they are the one that caused evil. And there was a story I remember that I was given when I was young, that the causes of death, the chameleon with its speed, it caused death, because they were told that they are going to compete, that the one who will reach first is the one who will be dying, that man will be dying. And chameleon, because of its speed, it went at a very low speed, and therefore to reach at the destination, the point where that was determining whether man will be dying, man was told that they will be dying because it delayed on the way. These are some of the stories that I used to explain the bad omen. For example, in a Kamba community, other communities, for example, they believe that if an owl cries near one's homestead, it is a sign of evil. For example, you can see a very good picture of an owl. This is the picture of an owl. An owl, when it cries near your home, it is believed that it may cause any harm to one of the family member. And if a member of a family breaks a taboo by disobedience, so this action may bring evil spirit. So breaking of taboos, breaking of the law, customs, and ethics is evil. And this one is sin. I tend to concur with this because in the biblical teaching of sin, of origin of sin, we said that sin came after the man, the instituted social order. And for example, as a result, God inflict the punishment on the offender since he is the supreme guardian of the law. God is the supreme guardian of the law and order in the community. And therefore, when you break the taboo, evil may befall you. 5. The evil spirits also causes harm or misfortunes, and we have said that human beings are bestowed with some power, mystical powers, such as the witch doctors, such as the sorcerers. They can manipulate the evil spirit to go and cause harm. Next, the spirit of the dead. This causes evil if they are not remembered or respected. We have said that when the life is detached from man, it may cause misfortunes because it is not living, and therefore when it does not remember the dead, for example the ancestors, you may die, or it is something it may happen to your families, and therefore when you does not respect them, you definitely get all this. Lastly, you can have the failure to give respect to where it is due. The two teachings, the biblical teachings and the traditional African teaching, what is the similarities between traditional and biblical concept of sin? This one is in in both cases, evil is bad and should be avoided. So the evil or the sin is seen as a very bad thing, and therefore it should be avoided. No one should be seen. Another similarities, in both, sin is punitive. There is a punishment after sin. For example, in 2 we saw the death is 1. 3, in both, sin arises from disobedience. So when you disobey, you sin. You disobey the certain law that is put in the society. It is put by God, you sin. Both agree that the result of sin and evil is calamities. They all believe that the result of sin and death is calamities, suffering, and death. So there is a calamity, suffering, and death in both cases. That is in traditional African and biblical teaching of sin. In both, sin separates human beings from God. They are alienated, and we said that the former relationship that was there, it was damaged. Next, in both, God is the guardian of morality, law and order. He's the one who keeps the morality, law and order. And therefore, if you disobey, you sin. Lastly, in both, sin can be inherited. It can be inherited. For example, you can see a case in the biblical, in the Bible, when Adam and Eve sinned, it all spread to other generations, and even now. Also, the same case is found in traditional African society. Now we look at the differences between the African traditional society and the biblical concept. The differences, how do these teachings differ? For example, in African traditional society, while the sin is wholesomely punishable, in biblical, sin is redemptive biblically through salvation. So in other words, you can say in traditional African society there is no salvation, but the punishment is there. But sin in biblical, it is it was redeemed by salvation. Salvation that was brought by Jesus Christ. He came to forgive human sin. 2, while African traditional religion, sin claims irreversible doom. It is a reversible doom. Once it is there to cause harm, it will definitely cause harm. There is no forgiving. While in traditional teachings of sin, the punishment of sin is not everlasting due to the resurrected Jesus Christ. So there is a communal responsibility of a sin in African traditional religion emphasized. In other words, you say in African traditional society, it is communal. The sin is communal, while the other one, it is the individual. In African traditional religion, sin is extrinsic, and while in biblical teaching, sin is intrinsic. When we say extrinsic, it comes from external sources. It comes from the external sources, and we said that God is seen as a good God that does not bring sin. While in biblical, it is intrinsic in that it comes from within the two, that is Adam and Eve. That's when it came. It started from there. But in Africa, it may come from anywhere. May come from witch doctors, may come from sorcerers or magicians. With that, we have come to the end of our lesson today. And as usual, I want to give you some assignment that you will try, so that in the next lesson we shall begin from here. The question is, you highlight 5 causes of evil in traditional African society. Highlight 5 causes of evils in traditional African society. The question is 5 marks, and I hope you're going to enjoy doing the question. So for your feedback, we can always get through the number screen. Our SMS number is 22518, 22518. And also Facebook us at Elimu TV with your feedback, any question, compliment, anything you would like us to know. And follow us on our Twitter. Our Twitter handle is at Elimu_KE, Elimu_KE. I'm glad that you are watching Elimu TV. It's a TV station where you watch and learn. Thank you. Stay tuned till we meet in the next lesson. I have been your teacher, Mr. John Gatuma.